Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we'll be playing the second part of Wild Arms V, the Veeth Vanguard. We cover it up until we get kicked off a train, and then we do a dungeon where everyone just says stuff we already know. But before we get to all of that, how was everyone's week?
I like how you almost called it Wild Arms 5, which is in fact the English title of the game.
Yes.
No, it's Wild Arms V, the Veeth Vanguard.
Its Japanese title is just so good. It's because Wild Arms 5, you might be like, oh, I'm in for a coherent, serious video game. But no, you're in for a game called Wild Arms V, the Veeth Vanguard.
I'm looking at the katakana, and, well, my katakana is rusty, so I'm specifically looking at the Romaji next to the katakana, and it looks like it is Wild Arms 5, the 5th Vanguard.
Yeah, but it's stylized with a V, which is stupid. None of the other games use Roman numerals. This is the only one that does, and that makes it extra stupid.
Amazing.
But before we get into all of that, how was everybody's week?
You know, I survived it.
Same.
I managed to partially fill a ADHD stimulant medication prescription, so that's pretty good.
Yay.
Oh, yeah. I am glad because things seemed shitty on that front just a couple days ago. So, I survived hanging up IKEA curtains that you have to cut to size. And when you cut them to size, they have to like function together, and it was very scary. And I did it, and I completed it earlier today, and I'm very proud of myself.
Good job.
Yay.
The thing that sucks though is they ship you the bar and the stuff that you need for one bar together. But none of our windows are 55 inches long. Most of them are half of that. So I cut it in half to be the sheer curtain and the blackout curtain together. Except there's not enough pieces because it only sends you the stuff for one bar in the thing. So from all the extras and stuff that I bought because I figured I was going to fuck stuff up, I was able to get Summer's room completely done and the huge windows in the living room completely done and one of my windows done, and the other one I have rigged up with random tools from my toolbox, and it is very bad and very stupid looking, but I don't want to order another bar to get extra stuff because I already have extra bar laying around. But yeah, it was funner than I thought it would be. But so I have a miter box, which is a thingy that helps you cut straight lines with your hacksaw, except the one that I bought was plastic, and hacksaws cut through metal, so it just cut at an angle into the miter box, and it didn't fucking help me at all. So it was very, very stressful doing any of that. But I felt like an actual dad because I have a saw and a sawhorse now.
Nice.
Hmm.
And then I finally made the phone call that I was supposed to make on August 1st to my primary care physician to up my ADHD medication dosage. I finally did that this week. It is finally August 2nd on October 28th, 2023.
Fantastic.
What about you, Trish?
So a couple days ago, really the only thing I've had happen that's like a me thing in the last week is I made progress on unpacking a bunch of my stuff, which is great because getting like 4 boxes out of the garage and getting that done was very, very awesome. Honestly, the other thing that's just on my mind that is just for me a thing I'm happy about and want to share is on weekends. Shout out to my wonderful wife Marie, who is at the best of times a complete and utter dork, but on weekends she treats herself from her day job by smoking that cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
And it is truly, even on the worst day, which today was not a worst day, but it was a pretty rough day. The way she can just light things up by being
By
just
lighting up.
by lighting up and being the most ridiculous goober I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wonderful.
It's just magical. It makes me so happy. I love living with my partners. It's great. Well, two of them, but still good. It's better than zero. So much better than zero. I never want to live alone again. God.
Yeah, I love that for you. That is always a great thing. Yeah, other than that, I just am accidentally playing 2 games that I really, really like playing for this podcast, and I have to stop playing them every week, and that sucks. So let's talk about one of those right now. All right, so when we last left our hero, our escorted person, and our idiot, they had set off on their journey to discover what the heck Johnny Appleseed means, and why Avril feels so drawn towards figuring it out. You head out along the world map, and you make a much longer trek than you did before, eventually coming to our first real dungeon, the Abandoned Path. Here we're introduced to this game's version of the tools from other Wild Arms games, and Dean can shoot things with his guns when he's outside of battle. Eventually, you'll get specialty ammo that can do special things to solve more complicated puzzles than just shoot the thing. But right now, we just shoot the thing, and you can shoot treasure chests to not have to open them, which is just cool. So you just do that. After a bit of exploring, we come across 2 giant frogs that we fight for an easy boss fight. And then afterwards, while the team is celebrating, Rebecca says that Dean is doing great with his arms, despite never firing a weapon before. He says that just like when he got the golem bolt, he feels a warmth and familiarity with the arms. And Rebecca's like, Avril, he's crazy, right? Like, he's such a nerd for cowboy shit. And Avril's like, no, I think those arms actually were made for him. Dean asks Avril if she remembers anything besides Johnny Appleseed, like any family or any treasures. She's like, why did the localizers translate that sentence that way? What do you mean treasures? Dean shows her his photo of Nightburn and his golem bolt and say that these are his treasures, along with the arms that she gave him. His treasures are things that are important to him that he wants to protect. And Avril is like...
This is a really One Piece moment, and is not the last One Piece moment of this, the chunk we played.
Avril says, oh, treasures are the things that give you strength. How wonderful. I hope to find my own treasures one day. A little bit later, after some jumping puzzles and some puzzles involving finding a way to scale a 15-foot wall, we find a horse-drawn carriage in one of the hallways of the ruin. Dean is excited to see adventurers, and he can't wait to see what lies ahead of him. He then also remembers that he was given a letter describing what the fuck Tony's gift was, and so he finally reads it. But as he does, the treasures start to glow, and Avril says she feels a warmth within her, and she remembers that these things are called mediums, and she says some cryptic shit about how they tie us to the world. Dean and Rebecca ask what the fuck that was all about, and Avril's like, I don't know.
I don't know.
The mediums are all glowy now, and Dean finally reads the message from Tony, which is a tutorial text for the medium system. This is the system I alluded to last week, where you earn and unlock more skills, but I had the details slightly wrong. You don't pay for the skills with your max HP. You get points equal to your level that you can invest in skills, and if you use those points, it decreases your max HP, but your base number in that skill is always equal to your current level. So if you don't invest any points, you'll still unlock everything by the time you hit level 100, but at level 50 you can dump all of your points to get the level 100 skill
and have much lower health
and have way much lower health. Don't do that. things in this game hit really hard because
They
they
hit
expect you to be
really
healed.
hard.
So like I brought Avril because she's magic-y. I gave her like a bunch of stuff and brought her down because I was like, she's magic-y. She's going to stay in the back and just use blast everything anyways. And then she got hit for 500 damage and died. And I was like, oh, never mind. Not gonna do that anymore. So Rebecca asks Dean the very normal question of why is a golem engineer living in a small town, especially if he is, as he says, one of the foremost golem engineers. Why does he have tech that was like waiting for Avril? Why? How it feels like he knew this was going to happen? And Dean is like, who cares? We're going on an adventure. A bit later, the gang is pondering the nature of Avril's amnesia, and Avril posits that it could be true that maybe she never knew anything, and not that she's just forgotten it. Rebecca is like, maybe that just means we have to find out who Johnny Appleseed is even faster now. The screen fades out and then fades into some high-tech anime spaceship where a crewman says, Johnny Appleseed, a report's just come in. The man he's referring to sighs and says that he'll have to learn to live with that name and asks the crewman for his report. The crewman says that Operation 05 has failed and they were unable to recover Avril Vent Fleur. And they had followed her to W01, but beyond that, they couldn't find her. But Asgard returned with only one arm, so the captain interrupts and asks if the Ice Queen has awakened, but the crewman can't confirm. The captain says that if the Ice Queen returns, Filgaia is fucked, but they still have time, so don't give up the search. And hopefully she's still Johnny Appleseed when we find her. So Johnny Appleseed so far is both the captain and Avril. Okay.
So you see what I fucking have to deal with taking notes on scenes like these.
It's a nightmare.
There have been so many scenes like these that I've taken notes for where it's just, we're just going to say a bunch of shit. There's no context for it yet. You cannot possibly scry the true nature of what's going on. You just have to basically say everything and hope you don't leave anything important out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, to make it worse on you, like, I will say, the games we have been actually no, never. I was gonna be comparing it directly. It's like, listen, compared to Skies of Arcadia, at least when we had cutaways like this, it was at least I knew generally who was in the scene, and it did a really good job of establishing that, as opposed to this, which is just
Captain
sheer
and
blunt
crewman.
force, just blunt force trauma of confusion. And then I was like, yeah, you don't have. I mean, did you ever do it this bad? And then I was like, oh wait, I forgot Persona 2. Yes, you did. Oh God, you did.
Yep. This is the exact flavor of anime bullshit that .hack.gu was, and .hack.gu doesn't stop. We thought this would be like the first. We thought this would be the first game, but they introduced like 3 new world-changing concepts like in the last cutscene of the last game. So the crewman heads off, and the captain ponders. Asleep for 12,000 years, finally awakened to lead Filgaia. I suppose we'll have to see who the fates favor, us or them. So on top of throwing proper nouns at us, they throw pronouns without antecedents. Fun. Suddenly there's a huge crash and a red alert. We flash back to our lovable idiots in the ruins, and Dean is like, damn, we completed this dungeon without a boss fight. That really sucks. And Rebecca is like, well, don't look now, but there's a boss encounter behind you. So we have our magic tutorial boss.
I love how every dungeon in this game, they're like, wait, I sense something. And then there's a giant boss directly in front of them. And I'm like, yeah, did you sense it with sight? Because it's right in front of you.
After the fight, Avril is like, I don't know about all this, like asking you to come with me and shit. And Rebecca's like, we're worried too. Like we have no idea what we're doing. We're kind of just limping along. Like, Dean, do you even know how to behave in front of a Varuni? And Dean, who absolutely does not, says, absolutely I do.
This is some To make a reference One Piece fans will get, and anyone else will be horribly confused by, this is some Saba Odi archipelago shit.
So
I know what an archipelago is. I'm not confused.
So they tell Avril not to worry, but they're all they can do is keep on going. Meanwhile, again, in another more different sci-fi spaceship, there's a whole lot of dead guys on the ground. One of the survivors asks the man with all of the character design, Volsung, how dare you spill blood within Mother? To which the man says, this ship is a mother to me no longer. I won't even care when I kill her. So the survivor says that Volsung was their last hope, but Volsung doesn't care, and he force pulls his giant sci-fi sword to stab the guy in the back.
It's cool.
Volsung calls on his radio and he asks his sentinels how the fight is going. And Raiden from Metal Gear Rising Revengeance says that they have eradicated 5,829 golems with an estimated 3,176 remaining. Those don't add up to a round number, and that makes me very, very upset. His name is Ferreidun, which also makes me very upset. A purple lady with equally dumb but cool anime sci-fi armor hacks in the mainframe, and she disables the rest of the golems. Her name is Persephone. Volsung calls on the radio and tells Persephone and Ferreidun to not offer surrender and to just proceed with their cause of apparently murdering other Varuni. Meanwhile, another dude named Kartikeya, who's a tall, gangly madman who just can shrug off getting shot with bullets and laughs like an insane Joker person. He takes down an entire aircraft by himself and is overall very unsettling. Persephone and Ferreidun say that was only one aircraft and others escaped, so what should they do? But Volsung says, well, we already know where they're headed, so we should instead just focus on Johnny Appleseed, and that they should tell Kartikeya to do the same, but he has something special in mind for their fifth party member, Elvis. He then gloomily says aloud to himself in a large room filled with corpses, this path is mine and mine alone. There's no room for any moderates. Back on the idiot wagon train to the stars, the gang makes their way to the town of Mirapulse. When they get there, some dude is being harassed by the sheriff because the town thinks that the dude stole the Mirror of DeSoto from their vault. The dude says that he's innocent, he was just following a suspicious guy, and that suspicious guy is the one who stole the mirror. And as a golem hunter, he can't abide by people stealing. Dean overhears the words golem hunter and instantly hitches his train to that wagon, and he says, this guy is innocent. Golem hunters can't do anything wrong. The sheriff asks the golem hunter for his license, and the golem hunter says, I don't have it, I must have dropped it at the station. The sheriff is like, what a convenient lie. And the D says, a golem hunter would never lie. And he vows to go and find the license for him. We go and wander the world map near the station, pressing square a bunch of times, hearing Yuri Lowenthal yell a bunch of things, and we find the license. And the license on it says, Chuck Preston, apprentice golem hunter. So that's the guy's name, I guess. We hoof it back to Mirapulse, and we've taken too long, and they're going to hang Chuck. We show the proof that Chuck is a hunter, but the executioner, who's not the sheriff, he's a new guy. He's a Varuni that's there. He's not as nice as the sheriff was, and he doesn't care that he's a hunter. He, as a Varuni, has a legal excuse to kill whatever humans he wants, so today is going to be a good day because he gets to kill a human.
And humans can't speak up to him, because if they do, he could just decide to kill them.
Yeah.
Because he has complete power and authority over them at all times.
So if the last two cutscenes haven't shown it, the Varuni are the bad guys of this game.
They're really bad. Yeah, they're
yeah. Who'd have thunk the oppressor class is a bad guy?
Yeah, they're like a nobility that seems to rule over the whole world, I think. Like some sort of world noble.
Yeah.
I really like how vaguely and subtly they've introduced exactly what the Varuni are. They seem to be like aliens that rule over the world, but they're just very slowly letting you get a grasp on what exactly it is. And I really like it because it sort of feels like Dean is from this backwater town. He's like never had to interact with them. He probably doesn't even really know what their deal is. Mm-hmm. And so it feels like that And it's weird that we have that in contrast to the incredibly inelegant flash sideways
Yeah.
stuff, where it's just like, and here's a whole bunch of proper nouns and pronouns, and we don't know what's going on, and you're not going to remember any of this stuff by the time it becomes relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I would say I definitely agree. I think it's also mixed well. I think how what I like about how they introduce it is also this sense of like they don't sit down and go, okay, here's what a Varuni is. Let's exposit over exactly what they are. We're getting like little bits and pieces, and most of it is just contextual. The way the characters talk around them, because they are just a facet of the world that they're at least semi-familiar with. And so I always really enjoy when, as a world building detail, when an author isn't like, okay, here's I'm going to give you a couple page explanation of exactly what's going on here. And it's just like, listen, I'm throwing you in the world, figure it out. Like the characters are going to talk about this because like they're characters in this world who don't stand around going, ah yes, arms. Did you know that arms stands for this?
Yeah.
And they're mysterious like no, people there's no need to talk like that.
Yeah. A much worse game would have been like hundreds of years ago, the Varuni spaceship crashed on Filgaia, changing its destiny forever as the opening crawl of the video game. And they didn't do that at all here. And I like that a whole lot. So the executioner says that they need the Mirror of DeSoto for the moonlight ceremony tonight. And so they're out of time. So they got to kill somebody for the crime. Dean's like, hey, fuck you, proving he absolutely does not know how to keep his head down among the oppressor class. He asks Chuck who it was he saw stealing the mirror, and Chuck says it's some giant weird guy with a bad mustache and big muscles who is headed towards the excavation site in the north. Dean asks the executioner, if we bring it back by sunset, will you let Chuck go? And the executioner is like, whatever, but if you're 1 second late, we're going to kill this guy, and if you're more than a month late, we're going to kill everyone in this town. The gang speeds off to the excavation site after leisurely walking around town, talking to all the NPCs and buying new gear from the shops.
Yes.
When they get to the excavation site, they realize that this is a golem excavation site. Dean is torn. Should he either save the entire town from dying or look at cool robots for a month? He does not know which one he should do. He begrudgingly continues into the dungeon where they see a literal cowboy. Chaps, cowboy hat, leather vest, button down, a Texas bow tie necklace, thick leather work gloves. He's a cowboy.
Notably, he does not have a big mustache.
He does not.
But they think maybe he's the guy with the mustache.
Okay, but so listen, his character design, top to bottom, I'm like, thumbs up. This looks great. Like you said, full cowboy. I'm in for it. Except his hat.
His hat is weird.
His hat is the worst thing. It's the worst thing in this entire game so far. Why?
Well,
the only thing I could say is it's like if you took a cowboy hat, folded up the sides, and then you made the top, that like top bit of a cowboy hat, you made that into like a beret. And it's like, what? And also, it just looks weird in scenes. They keep doing close-ups on his face, and his hat is covering his face. And I know, in cinema, like, you know, quote unquote cinematography, you know, that you could be going for a thing of like, oh, we can't see his face because his brim's covering it. But the way it actually looks in engine, it actually just looks like they forgot how big his hat was, and it's unintentional and just a weird effect of the thing. It's like, it just feels so goofy. It's so goofy.
It's fantastic.
It looks like a mix of a cowboy hat and a tricorn hat.
Oh, it does a bit.
Yeah, it's half cowboy hat, half emo hair, because it's always in his face.
And he has emo hair under it.
He does. Just in case you couldn't tell, he has a tragic backstory. He has emo hair and an emo hair hat. Rebecca wonders if this man without a mustache could be the man with the mustache. Dina's like, I don't know. Let's ask him. Hey, mister, are you a thief? The cowboy says that he hasn't heard of the Mirror of DeSoto, but there's another tall-ass guy inside, but the group should turn back because he's rigged this whole place to blow. Dean is confused. Why would you blow up a robot? The cowboy says, "It's none of your business," and he turns to leave. But Dean draws his guns and points them at the cowboy and is like, "Why would you blow up a robot?" The cowboy says,
"The robots are so cool. Why would you blow them up?"
You joke and say that, but that's a literal line that happens in about 20 minutes.
I like how Rebecca is like, they're really important resources for us. They like help people live better lives and everything. And Dean's just like, they're so cool.
We truly have, like, on the like the scale of like anime protag, like shonen battle protags, our hero Dean is like, oh, they min-max his intelligence, and I don't know where all the points went. Where'd they all go? Love for robots, I guess.
Yeah. So the cowboy says a really cool line where he says, "Watch yourself, kid. When you point a gun at someone, they got a right to shoot back." Rebecca tells Dean to put his arms down and asks the cowboy to disarm the bomb because Golem technology is vital to life on Filgaia and no one should just blow them up. The cowboy says, "I never asked your opinion," and he draws his shotgun and points it at Dean. It's a standoff. This is a cowboy game. It's cool. The cowboy's finger flexes on the trigger, but then he stops. Avril is standing in between them in the path of the bullets. She stares down the cowboy, saying literally nothing. The cowboy gives up and turns to leave, muttering about how he's still got to find that bastard.
This scene would have been a lot less confusing if they'd had a shot of her stepping into the in between the guns, but they don't.
They don't.
Mm-hmm. Also, his gun
was weird.
His gun looks exceptionally cool.
Yes, and his animations with it are real cool.
Yeah,
they are.
It's half shotgun, half lightsaber, which is so cool.
I'm like, it's hard to think of two cooler things to combine.
So the gang proceeds farther into the dungeon. Halfway through, there's a big ass statue monster that the gang decides fighting to death is faster than just like running around it. So we have our mid boss, and we learn about elemental affinity. Meanwhile, back in Mirapulse, the executioner taunts Chuck, saying that the gang probably just ran off and that he can't wait to legally kill somebody. Back in the dungeon, the gang runs into a big doofus who's holding the mirror of DeSoto, muttering about how he had hoped it would neutralize the VR factor. He just uses a lot more colorful, stupid words to say that. Dean is like, "Hey, doofus," and the big guy says, not to interrupt his important efforts. Dean is like, "Whatever, give me that mirror back." The big guy says no. Avril asks, "Why do you need it?" He says, "It's a 12,000-year-old relic from the Age of Lost Technology," title case. And he's trying to unlock its secrets by bringing it to a place filled with golems. He drones on, and then two bigger versions of the statue mini-boss show up, and we have our final boss of the dungeon fight. Afterwards, the weird guy is really impressed with our fighting prowess, and he asks us if we want to be his assistants. And we're like, "No, we just want to take the mirror back. Stop wasting time." And he says, "Well, my research can't be delayed, and y'all are in a hurry, so we must discuss this matter with our fists." And we get a fake boss fight in which he kicks our ass hard. After he kicks our ass, the cowboys' bombs all start to go off, so the place starts to collapse. A big ass rock falls on the weird guy and he catches it to save us. But in doing so, he drops the mirror, so we take it and run away, leaving him to die in a collapsing mine. Our characters are heroes.
He's a weirdo and a jerk, so who cares?
Yeah.
Also, this man was just holding up a boulder about 10 times his size. He's fine. He's gonna get out. This is some anime bullshit. He's gonna get out, and it's gonna he'll be back in a disc later, and we'll actually be able to fight him without losing that time.
Exactly.
He's gonna get crushed by a boulder, but then he's going to somehow survive that and transport 50 years in the future. At which point, never mind.
We promise to never talk about that game ever again. Okay, so they run back to Mirapulse and they see the cowboy leaving town. He says that we're too late because they've already finished preparing for the hanging since the sun is already down behind the mountains. And I mean, what are you going to do? Tell him that you can see over the mountains or something? Dean is like, maybe I have the power of anime on my side. And he runs off. Dean shows the executioner that they have the Mirror of DeSoto, but the executioner is like, whatever, it's too late. The sun has already gone down. Dean is like, yeah, but I can see over the mountains if I climb this water tower. And Dean climbs the water tower, and sure enough, the sun has not set. But the executioner doesn't care and wants to kill Chuck anyways. As a quick aside, the sunset is the sun. The sun casts light. If the top of the water tower could see the sun, it would be bright and lit, and Dean could just point. But no one ever thinks of that.
Was anyone else thinking that where Dean was going with this was he would go to the top of the water tower and then show the reflection of the sunlight with the Mirror of DeSoto?
Absolutely,
that would have been smart.
Rather than just saying, I can see the sun, take my word for it.
Right? I can say the sun has not set yet. Prove me wrong.
The executioner doesn't care. He wants to kill Chuck anyways. Avril is pissed. She says that promises must be kept. I will never forgive you for breaking your promise to Dean. She's holding the mirror and she begins to glow in like a white Super Saiyan light. She says
she's an honors friend. That's what's happening.
Yes. She says to leave the town immediately or suffer the consequences. And the executioner backs down and he runs off. Dean hands Chuck back his hunter license finally and introduces himself formally. He says that he's been following a golem crusher named Greg. Dean says that it's probably the cowboy because the cowboy seemed pretty gung-ho about crushing golems. They ask Chuck if he knows anything about Johnny Appleseed, and Chuck says that he thinks that they might be able to find info in Lila Bell, which is the biggest city on Filgaia. He gives the group some train tickets because the only way to Lila Bell is via train, and you can only buy train tickets if you're a Varuni or a Golem Hunter. So we can have his tickets so that we can ride the train. We head down to the station and enjoy the wonderful music that's in there. And then we see the weird guy. Dean wants to go and beat him up, but Rebecca somehow successfully convinces him to lay low, and they get on the train.
To clarify, you mean the weird guy as in the guy with the weird
mustache
hat and the shotgun?
No, they see the weird guy with the mustache.
Oh, you're right. I forgot they see him first. You're right.
Yeah. So on the train, they see the cowboy, the weird guy with the hat, the shotgun.
You can't just say a weird guy. There's so many weird guys in this game.
The main character is a weird guy.
He's a very weird guy.
So yeah, on the train, Dean does see the cowboy, and he's up to no good. So Dean follows him out to a flat car at the rear of the train where he's trying to blow up a golem that they're transporting. Dean is like, why do you keep blowing up golems? They are only linked to lost technology, but forget that. They're cool. Why would you blow up cool things? Like earlier, I saw this cool golem arm, and the cowboy grabs Dean by the collar and shoves him against the cargo. You saw a man with the golem's arm? But
before That's not what he said!
But before he can answer...
Close. It's kind of.
But before Dean can answer, the girls show up. The cowboy says, tell me what you saw before this car gets blown to bits. But Dean answers his question with a kick to the chest and sends the cowboy flying backwards. And then he says, perplexingly, apropos of nothing, all I know is you're not a bad person. You can't be bad. You saved Chuck.
What did Greg do to save Chuck?
Greg,
so Dean is attributing Greg being like, what, you think you can just see over the mountains or something? Where he's definitely talking down to Greg because Dean remembered that. Dean is saying that Greg said proved that the sun was over the mountains. It's
like
not.
He gave him the idea. That was the logic.
That's it. And I only know that because I'm going back with the Let's Play to write the notes, and Dean flashes to Greg saying that. Excuse me, to the cowboy saying that. We still don't know his name for sure. So the cowboy shoots the car release to so that the rest of the train speeds off, and he says, "Good, bad, I don't give a damn. I've destroyed golems before, and I'll do it again until I can draw him out and finish him off. I'm never going to stop.
I'm never gonna expound on that.
Yes. The train pulls out onto an elevated bridge, and Dean looks down at the ground far below. The cowboy hands Dean a grenade and then fucking kicks him off the train over the railing, just flying down to his doom.
Now, you had told me that we were playing until we got kicked off the train. Not realize how literally you meant that.
Yeah. I've played up to this point is where I've as far as I've ever gotten in the game. So I knew that you do get, in fact, kicked off the train.
Amazing. Also, you said you brought up the quote of good, bad, and I'm just in my brain. I cannot help completing. I'm the guy with the gun. He does have.
That's true. So moments before Dean hits the ground, a second, more different grenade flies past him and explodes on the ground under him, softening his blow. That's right. Grenade jumping both exists and isn't stupidly dangerous on Fulgaia. Up above, the train car explodes, but we see the cowboy carrying both girls under his arm. He tells Dean to do the thing, and Dean throws the grenade under them so that they can grenade jump to safety too. After they all land, Dean tells the cowboy again that he can't be a bad guy because he just saved them from the exploding train car. The cowboy reminds him that I'm the one that blew up the train car. I saved you from me. That doesn't make me a good guy. And Dean is like, whatever. Stop killing golems. You want to hear about the golem arm thing I was talking about? And I want you to stop blowing up golems, so we'll trade. And the cowboy's like, okay, I won't blow them up when you're around. And Dean is like, no, don't blow them up ever. Rebecca is like, can you guys just shut up? We were supposed to be heading to Lila Bell, and now we jumped off a train in the middle of nowhere. The cowboy is like, we're close to a town called Gounon. This cutscene isn't voiced, so
I don't know how you'd pronounce it.
I'm going to say Gounon. He's like, we're close to a town called Gounon, and we can head there and regroup. Rebecca's like, okay, cool. Maybe we'll even find out something about Johnny Appleseed. And the cowboy says, oh, yeah, they have that in Gounon. Rebecca's like, oh, how anticlimactic. As if they didn't just escape an exploding train in a climactic confrontation, but okay. Dean says, okay, new deal. You stop crushing golems, and I'll tell you about the golem arm. But I won't be mad at you if you crush golems when I'm not looking, and in return, you escort us to Gounon. Avril asks the cowboy if he has a medium, and he says, yeah. She says that his medium is an original, which no one knows what that means. And with that, Greg joins the party, and you pause the game, and you confirm that his name is Greg. Chuck said he was looking for a guy named Greg, and the game changed his text boxes to say Greg instead of Big Man like they were before, but he never confirms that that's his name. At one point during the confrontation, Dean is like, Greg, you're here to blow up golems again, aren't you? But Greg pointedly does not hear or acknowledge him. So the game just never introduces this character, and it was a weird thing that stuck out to me.
And as soon as he joined the party, I went in and I took out Dean. I put Greg in instead.
Yeah,
Greg is so strong.
He's really strong.
Is really good at shooting things.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, shotgun though.
Yeah, the Let's Play that I'm using. Shout outs to the author. I'll pull it up in a second. They say that Dean is the powerhouse, and they keep talking about like, oh, you have to do this and give it to Dean so he can kick ass. My Dean sucks. My Dean's
garbage.
My Dean can't do magic. He can't do physicals. He can't do jack shit. So
Rebecca's doing 90% of the work, and then Greg show up, and so now they're splitting it about 40-40. And
yeah,
Avril's over here healing them.
I gave Avril attack magic because her magic stat is so high, and she kicks ass as a witch. But the LP is by Dark Hamster Lord. But
that sure is a screen name.
It sure is.
Shout outs to it.
But yeah, my Dean sucks really bad.
Gundam like Tanaka.
His
I love that man.
His
That's his name, right?
Yes.
It must be. Y'all got the reference.
Yeah. His Dean's passive skill, where his crits do double damage, maybe hit like the good Dean build or whatever is crit all the time, give him a bunch of plus crit things, and then he's doing a shitload of damage that way. But I don't crit enough to make that worth it right now. And Greg just hits really hard. So I'm going to pick Greg. So we make our way towards Gounon, and we pass through an underground path to get there. There are several scenes of us telling Greg everything that we already know. And Dean asks him how he became a golem crusher, but he won't answer because of his tragic backstory. Avril feels like she might have known him before her memory was lost, but Greg says that he's never met her. A few more scenes reiterating that Dean doesn't think Greg is a bad guy, and Greg promising that he is. And then we get a cutaway to another sci-fi place with the captain from earlier. He's pissed that they still haven't found Johnny Appleseed, and he should have known that Volsung and his radicals, proper noun, it's colored green in the text box, would do anything to accomplish their goals, even taking over Mother. But then again, he, the captain, is the reason that people like him, Volsung, exist in the first place. When we sowed those apple seeds, we left behind seeds of nobility too, and they all became arrogant and we all have become arrogant and been rejected by Filgaia, whatever that means. But that was in the past, and right now the important thing is to find Johnny Appleseed before the radicals do, no matter the cost. The fate of Filgaia is at stake. So what the fuck is Johnny Appleseed? Why is it everyone's name and also a thing we're going to find in Gounon? Who fucking knows? It's probably stupid in a camp good way, and we'll find out next week, maybe. And for now, we're going to listen to some music and talk about our memorable moments.
There's probably just going to be some guy named Johnny Appleseed in Gounon, and Greg's going to be like, here's your guy. But that's just his name, and he's just some guy. And
It's honestly sillier than that.
It's much stupider than that.
oh, dear.
So you use the word, and we were talking before, and I said, this game is camp to me, and I mean that in such a loving way of like, there are definitely points in this game where I'm just sitting here going, what is happening? Why is this going on? There are character outfits like Greg's hat where I go, this shouldn't be, but it's not bad. It's camp. It's like, this is some tasty, silly, ridiculous thing. I'm happy I have this. Similarly, like the thing that really got me to think in that direction, I decided to write down. This is not an exact quote, but we were talking about last episode about the joint skills you can get with different characters. And when you do the thing for Greg and Avril's joint skill, she's like, oh, I have an idea. And he's like, is it about opening up a gate with our swords? I had the same thought. It's like, what? What are you talking about? What's that mean?
Opening up gates with a sword, that sure reminds me of one game. That we promised never to talk about.
And we did it
I don't
twice
know what game this is.
Tales of Fantasia. We just finished it on the bonus feed.
And, I see.
Titled the last episode, we never have to talk about this game again, and we keep referencing it.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
But this game is pretty good.
This game
is pretty good. Also, on the pretty good side, we didn't get a lot of him, but Chuck, I'm intrigued by his character, and I think his character design it's like on the edge of being over-designed in a kind of Kingdom Heartsy kind of way, but I definitely think it's on the right side of that line. It's like, no, I like this. I like the fur collar. I like the rolled-up sleeves. Like, this guy, he looks genuinely kind of cool, but also kind of a dork, and he rides that line beautifully.
Yeah. This game just, like you said, it's very camp. When this game says anime bullshit, I'm not like, oh god, here's some more anime bullshit like it was in .hack. This is anime bullshit. I'm like, whatever, let's go shoot treasure chests with our revolvers again. Like, why not? And this game just has a big, okay, that happened, let's keep going vibe to it. And I like it so much. I'm having the time of my life playing this game.
Oh gosh, my speaking of silly fun camp things about it, my wife was watching because I was playing. For those who are listening, I was playing this a little last minute. My wife came in, as I said before, high as a kite, to watch over my shoulder as I was playing, and I was using his guns shooting thing to be shooting barrels and things, and she was just like, "What is that animation? What? That's 2 frames."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
it's so good.
I also like how I haven't counted the chambers, but it's like at least 6 chambers on each gun. Yet he has to reload every 3rd shot.
Yeah.
Also, Avril having to reload every like 2 hits with her melee weapon.
You have to reload your sword.
I also love that Dean's animations is he puts one gun down to his side and shoots with just one gun, unless he does a critical hit where he shoots with both. He doesn't even use the fact that he's dual wielding almost at all, and it's stupid.
That would be unfair unless it was a cool moment.
So some little things that I love about this game being stupid. So in one of the sci-fi flashbacks, we are seeing from the crewman's eyes, and he's looking at a report on his clipboard, and you can see the text on the clipboard, and it is English cursive that says GHJ KCZO Brewery 6.9 GHH, and then literal home row key smashing, including semicolons. They literally just smashed on an English keyboard.
I forgot about that.
It's so stupid. I love it so much.
It's very good.
Another cool thing that they do is most games will pick a descriptor for somebody before you learn their name, and it'll be like, for Cowboy, his was Big Man up until we learned his name was Greg. When we meet the professor, the weird guy with the mustache, he starts out as Strange Man, and then Dean says, "There, it's a big guy with a mustache," and then it changes to Big Guy with the Mustache.
That entire thing with him, it was very, that whole scene with him is just very fun. He's like, "I'm just gonna stand back and let you fight this monster. All right, now I'm gonna kick all of your asses. Oh no, I'm gonna hold up a big boulder. So now you can take the mirror and get away, even though I'm an end boss."
Yeah, his combination of like speaking like a professor and going off on tangents about like, he's like, "Oh, sit down, class is in session, I'm going to start rambling about a thing," while our characters cut away and talk about stuff, mixed with like the weird horny old guy energy that he has when you first show up, and he's like, "Come on, all of these gray cells need to be flushed with red," and it's like, what is this guy's vibe? It's unsettling is what it is, and I love it so much. He's very silly. Another one that, speaking of the professor, when Dean is like, "Give us the mirror," the guy goes, "No," and holds it up above his head. And for the rest of the cutscene, Dean is jumping, trying to grab it out of his hands while he has this calm conversation with Avril and Rebecca. Oh, it's so good.
It's very good.
Another bit that I love is when the second group grenade jumps to land, Greg lets go of the 2 girls and they're falling, and Dean is like, "Who do I catch? Who do I catch? I don't know who to save." And he goes and he catches Avril, and you see in the background Rebecca just casually lands on her feet because she's practicing to be a circus performer, so this was nothing to her, and she's like, "Why didn't you catch me?" And he goes, "I mean, you're all right, aren't you?" And she goes, "Yeah, but that's beside the point."
She actually says, "But that's besides the point." And I'm like, that's not the phrase.
It is not.
I was so scared they were going to make me choose who to catch, because I don't want that responsibility.
Absolutely not. And this was definitely the era of the slightly different endings depending on who you flirt with more throughout the game. So it could have been.
I was spoiled by Skies of Arcadia never having to choose who to flirt with. I get to flirt with both of my girlfriends all I wanted, and it
And
was
watching them flirt
fine.
with each other.
Exactly.
And this, honestly, again, the comparisons to Skies of Arcadia, I feel like we are getting a little bit of that. It's just the difference between Vice and Dean is like the Grand Canyon.
Absolutely. But yeah, those were all the specifics I had. Otherwise, this game is so much fun, and I unfortunately can only play a little bit each week, and I would love to just curl up and binge through this game. But yeah, next week is the part of the game that I have not played at all, so I have no idea how long we'll be playing. This game is not terribly long, but I the only judge of length that I have is this Let's Play, which has 44 updates on it. None of the walkthroughs online have a table of contents. They just go to walk through.
The walkthroughs online are so weird. I was trying to look at them to get an idea, and like you said, none of them have a table of contents on the walkthrough. And one of them like said cowabunga before each boss fight, and I was like, what?
I noticed. I was reading that one too. That's also the one I was using. That one I just stopped and switched to another one. That one starts with a full novel explaining all of the game mechanics in excruciating detail before it gets to any walkthrough, and I'm like, I don't want this. Get me to the game. I don't need you to save that for the end of the walkthrough.
I just need to know which minecart switch I'm supposed to hit.
Yes.
Like, I just want to know which of these directions is the treasure and which one is the critical path. But no, give me a novel on how mediums or something that's returning from Wild Arms 4.
Yeah, no, right? Actually, we'll say with that dungeon with the minecarts and stuff, that one, I don't know if it's just like I can't ever tell if it's just like the rate I'm leveling at, or it's hard to tell if it's just a universal experience. Okay, it was so hard, and it was going from fight to fight, just going like, I'm so stressed all the time, and I was just where's the mini boss I can do to turn them off, and I was so happy that it was there halfway through, as opposed to the second dungeon we did, which didn't give it to you until the end of the dungeon. At which point I'm like, I don't even need it anymore. Why'd you do that?
Yeah, I actually really liked the really hard dungeon because it you get instant retries. It takes you back to the beginning of the fight with all of your stuff back, so I could keep trying. And so I felt really smart when I figured out how to kill the first random mob. That on my first time through, by the time each monster had taken a turn, I was dead. So I was I need to figure out what the fuck what I'm doing. And so I finally finished that one. Had dropped a couple lucky cards, which double your experience on them. And so then I leveled up like 2 or 3 times. And by the end of the dungeon, I was kicking ass and taking names. And that progression of I literally died in one turn to I can win after one turn of my guys felt really cool. And this battle system is cool for that.
It is.
You can't
it's difficult without being punishing.
Yeah. And it's involved in a similar way that a Persona 5 battle system is involved, but the battles still go quickly. This one takes a little bit longer than Persona 5, but not as long as Radiant Historia, which is the game that I skip battles in the most because it takes like 5 minutes to do a random mob fight, and I hate it. This one is like, it engages your brain to do the cool thing and do the right thing, but if you do the right thing, you win in 2 or 3 turns. And so it's a lot of fun, and I'm so thrilled that even this week we were getting more like, oh hey, here's another cool nuancy thing about the battle system. The very last thing, like right at the end, was that you can switch characters at any time if you're on the outside of the of the hexes. And so boss fights have had these weird random pillars in them, and the reason they have that, there's no reason why they've had them so far, but the reason that they have them from here on is that's not the edge of the battlefield, that's a pillar. You can't escape to change your party members next to a pillar, which is pretty cool. And they're still giving us shit like that, and they didn't even talk about like how your equipment and stuff works at all yet. And there's so many cool things. Oh my god, speaking of equipment, I can't believe none of us said this. Rebecca has the first alternate costume of the game, and it's an all leather cat suit, and it's amazing.
What?
It's an all black leather cat suit.
Where?
It's in the last dungeon.
I didn't find it.
I didn't find it.
Oh no! I want to find it now.
I'll drop the picture in.
Please do.
It's fantastic.
I was gonna just say, yeah, I think this segment we did is the first time I had like a serious like, oh wow, that was a game over. It might be just the first flat out game over I had, but it was definitely the first like serious one. And it was against that last boss we had where there's two of them. Mm-hmm. And one of them, they have different elemental weaknesses, and then they're also like one's immune to range damage, and the other's immune to, I think the other one was immune to melee damage. Mm-hmm. Those two, if you're not careful, they'll just destroy the entire party in like 2 turns.
Mm-hmm. Okay, even with healing. This alternate costume is very great. I would not describe it as a cat suit.
I wouldn't either, but it's an awesome outfit.
Yeah, I was going based off my memory when I said catsuit, and the fact that she has leggings now instead of bare legs, I think is what I was remembering. But it is definitely like a black leather version of her outfit plus leggings and a long sleeve shirt. But it's very, very good. It's in the dungeon we just left, where we fought the Terraskews I didn't even talk about. But so you can go back in there. You have a dungeon map that's completely filled out for every dungeon, and so you can see where you have the blue dots that you haven't gone to yet, and go in one of those and grab it.
Well, I need to do that clearly.
The dungeon, is it just me, or is the dungeon map? Are the dungeon maps weird and hard to figure out?
They're a bit weird.
Yeah, they're a bit weird.
I don't understand them. I'm not good at maps.
I didn't have anything else from Memorable Moments. What about you two?
I think that's it. I am excited that I get to play more of this game now, and
of course you are.
Can't wait to go and do that. I will probably end up doing that tomorrow, so y'all will know quickly where we're stopping instead of yesterday. But I think that will do it for the week. If you like what you heard, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations will help us cover the cost of running the show, making it better and better. If you set up a recurring monthly donation, you also get some additional benefits. If you donate $1 or more a month, you get access to our bonus feed, as well as access to our polls to decide what game we play next on the main feed. On the bonus feed this week, we are starting Tales of Destiny Director's Cut, and it's better than Tales of Fantasia. Most
games are.
Most games are, but this one is, in addition to so far not being frustrating in its game design, is fun to play partway through so far. So we'll see how that continues, and you can join us for that over on the bonus feed. If you donate $5 or more a month, we'll also shout out your name on every episode like this. Shoutouts to Cerebral Wind, It's Claire Time, Frost Terror, Dragon Slayer 19, Floris, Kaeldron, Freddie Rodriguez, Ron524, and JFro Prime. And then finally, if you love us so much that you want to donate $20 or more a month, you also get to make me say a sentence of your choosing, either to plug something or just to make me say some funny words. So shoutouts to El Tantavi, who wants you to check out critical-distance.com, an aggregator for games criticism and journalism. Shoutouts to William Taylor, who wants you to check out rpgamer.com, reviews for people like us by people like us. Shoutouts to Vimk, who wants you to play Legend of Legaia on the PS1. Please just do it. And then shoutouts to Carr, who's a dentist, so he isn't plugging a website, but rather your own mouth. And he says to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, the time before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine, yes.
Yes.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye.